Hi guys, today's recipe is a lamb leg steak served with some roast potatoes, spicy bechamel sauce, and that's going to be served with some caramelised onions and placed on a crispy pancake. So this is kind of like a starter dish, but you can also make it into little appetizers, and I'm going to show you how. As I said, I try and do this video within the first week of September, and I'm just going to show you all the prep work that we've done. So firstly, you've got to make some garlic oil. Now, I've already made this. What the trick is you fill a little tray with about a litre of oil, and then you stick about 2 or 3 garlic cloves in there, stick it in the oven for about 30-40 minutes at 150 degrees centigrade, and in 50 minutes you should have garlic oil. You just got to strain it off into a little container and it's ready to use. Now, this is going to basically be the oil, the fat I should say, that flavours the potatoes when we stick them in the oven. Now, with the potatoes, I just bring this over here. What we've done is we've taken one potato, think of it as like one potato per person, cut them into little chunks. Make sure there's quite a lot of sharp edges because they're the ones that sort of almost caramelise and become really crispy. We put them in, we've washed them for about 5 minutes in some plain cold water, and what I've done is left them in the fridge for 5-10 minutes in some salted water, washed them out one more time, and then put them on the hob, brought it up to the boil, and I'm going to let it simmer for about 20-30 minutes depending on how long it takes for the potatoes just to fall apart. And then we're going to drain them, and once you drain them, put them back in the pan and stick them in the fridge to basically dry off. And you'll know when they're dry, that's when the steam is basically all gone and it's cooled down, and then when you feel them, they're cold. What you want to do then is just stick them on some tissue paper and give them a quick dry. And if I just bring it over to this pan, we've got half a onion, white onion I should say, per person, and half a red onion per person. And what I did is I put about 2 tablespoons of sugar on those onions, a little bit of lemon juice, stuck them in the fridge for 5 minutes. That's just to help really intensify the sweetness of them. Then we're going to caramelise these, as I said. So on a low heat, about a tablespoon of butter, you put the onions in and you set them to cook down for about 20-30 minutes. It's a pretty slow process. You don't want them to fry, you just want them to basically, like I said, cook down to basically nothing. And now I'm going to take you over to the lamb, which is here. Now, I took about 2-3 tablespoons of the garlic oil and brushed it on both sides of the lamb. That's just going to help flavour it. And I took a fork and pricked the lamb about 4 or 5 times each side, and I made sure these went right the way through because that's going to help the oil penetrate the inside of the lamb and the heat penetrate the lamb quicker. Now, another thing for the lamb is take it out about 30-40 minutes before cooking so it comes down to room temperature and it's nice and even, because I made the mistake a few weeks ago of cooking lamb straight from the fridge, and it takes a lot longer to cook, and by then you might have a burnt outside and a just cooked inside. So make sure you take it out. And for the roux, we've got 30 grams of butter and 20 grams of plain flour. And what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 tablespoons of red chili powder, or if you want it a little bit less hot, 1 tablespoon, and half a tablespoon of garam masala. And we're going to need about 150 ml of milk for this, but bear in mind you might use a little bit more, you might use a little bit less. And you're going to need a whisk and a wooden spoon when making this. So, and by the way, there's the crispy pancakes. You can get these from most Chinese stores now, or most grocery stores. Just going to put this back up here. So what I'm going to do is, when I come back, you will see the potatoes. They'll be ready to be put in the oven with the oil. And the oven, by the way, was on 180. And then what I did is I turned it down because it started smoking a bit. But before the oil goes in, about 5 minutes, I'm going to put it back to 180. So total 180 for 10 minutes. And then you're going to put the oil in for about 20 minutes at 180. So it's going to be 30 minutes altogether. and then before the potatoes go in, put it up to 240 or the highest your oven will go. Bear in mind this is degrees centigrade. By then the oil should be bubbling, spitting a lot. You're going to pull it out, put your potatoes in, stick it back in for another 10-15 minutes, and once they're out we're going to put a little bit of salt, pepper, red chili powder, and we're going to serve that on top. So in 20 minutes or so you'll see the potatoes are done. The caramelised onions are also going to be done, and we'll be ready to basically start the final elements of our dish. So I'll see you in 20 minutes. Alright guys, so it's been about 20 minutes and I'm just going to quickly show you the onions. So these are the caramelised onions, and they've literally, like I said, they've cooked down to barely anything, and bearing in mind there are 2 onions. And here are the potatoes. So what I've done with these is I broke them up slightly with the metal spoon, just to create more little edges in them and cracks. Now I'm going to explain why I've done that, and just a quick message. I said 2 tablespoons of chili powder in the bechamel sauce. That was a big mistake. It's 2 teaspoons, because 2 tablespoons, well, that's going to blow your head off, because red chili powder is not exactly the most mildest spice. But back to the potatoes. I break them up a little bit because as they basically almost fry in the oil, those little cracks will hold onto the oil and they will create like a really nice crispy golden crust on the outside, and that is basically the sole reason you break them up a little bit. It kind of works the same with chips. When you cook them till they're almost breaking, so that when you fry them the oil just sort of gets held into these little cracks, and that's what creates that crispy edge. Now with the oil, you got to be wise with this, because you know it's going to vary a lot through you know the temperatures in your oven, because you can't trust the actual dial itself. So if it starts, you know, if it looks like it's bubbling away violently, turn it down a bit, just maybe switch it off for 5 minutes. You know, you don't want to kill yourself cooking a roast potato basically. So I'm going to put these in because it's a little bit too dangerous to hold it with one hand and pour the potatoes in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these out quickly, and I'm going to show you what we should see. And be really careful. Now this has been at 240 degrees now for a few minutes. And guys, sorry about that, the camera cut out. But I put the potatoes in, and immediately, the moment you put the potatoes in, they should start sizzling. And I put the potatoes in, and I've turned it down a bit to 180 just to stop them smoking or basically burning. So after that, what's the next element of the dish? Well, it is the roux. So I'm just going to get my pan out. And the butter. Right guys, so that is the paste. So what I did is I melted the 30 grams of butter, then put the flour in, and I've stirred it. And I'm just taking this off the heat slightly, just to make sure the butter doesn't burn too much. So you just got to keep that moving. Now, what you do now is 100 ml at a time, sorry, 50 ml at a time, because we've only got 150 ml. 50 ml at a time, we're going to add in the milk, and we're going to whisk it. Now, because it's like sort of like a 2-hand job, because I've got to keep taking it off the heat, I'm going to whisk it. I'm going to show you it once basically the sauce is done, and you should be left with like a thick sauce. So you want to whisk it, wait for the milk to absorb, sorry, the flour to absorb the milk, then pour in the next 50 and keep whisking it, and then on the last batch you whisk it, and then you start basically mixing it with a wooden spoon, just to you know, like but just to make sure everything's well mixed together. And then we're going to check on the potatoes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on with making the roux, and it's going to look a little bit different to a normal bechamel sauce once it's done, because obviously it's going to look a little bit different. Sorry again, the camera's jumped, but it's going to be because obviously the spices have been put in. But I'll show you what you should be left with. Check on the potatoes every 5 minutes, give them a turn, and I'll be back within 10 minutes. This is the final product. It's I had to add a little bit more milk, about 100 ml more milk. So like I said, you got to experiment with it, and it's just finished. It's smooth and it's got no lumps in it, which is really good. So I'm just going to tell you what I've done with potatoes. So in there are the potatoes, and I'm going to give them their last 5 minutes without the heat. Right guys, so I've had to change the camera because my camera battery's died, but all I've done is I've taken the potatoes out. We're going to season this, give it a stir, and we're going to leave that till we need it. The potatoes are here, and I've seasoned them, and they're crispy on the outside, soft and fluffy in the inside. Now the last few things we've got left to do is the pancakes and the lamb, which I just put back in the fridge for a little while just to slightly firm up. And once we've done that, that is the whole dish, and I'm going to show you how to do the assembly. So I'm going to wait for the lamb to come back down to temperature, and then I'm going to fry the pancake. Now with the pancake, what we're going to do is just take one of these pancakes, heat some oil in like a deep pan. So if I show you I've got like one of these, and it's just got enough oil to almost deep fry it, but there's not loads in there. So what we're going to do is just chuck a piece of bread in. Once that bread starts turning golden, your oil's ready. So we're just going to chuck the pancake in about 30 seconds aside. You'll know when it's done. It'll start crisping up and bubbling. Give it a flip, take it off, drain it on some tissue paper, and then we're going to cook the lamb. So what I'll do is I'll show you the finished product, and I'm going to tell you what we do with the lamb. So with the lamb, once this is back to room temperature, so it's it's not cold to the touch. We've seasoned it. We put the garlic oil on it. What we're going to do is we're going to heat the griddle up. We're going to give it about 2 to 3 minutes aside, depending on how long you've left it out. So I'm probably going to give it about 2.5 minutes, because this is a pretty large steak. As you can see, it's quite a thick steak. So 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes should do it each side. We're going to let it rest for about 5 minutes, and we're going to cover it with so this is the lamb. I've just literally put it on. You can hear how hot this pan is, and that's what you want. You want it nice and hot. And the lamb's been out for about 20-30 minutes now. And I'm just going to quickly show you the little pancake. As you can see, it's golden and it's got a lot of bubbles in it, and it's crispy. So that's what you want to get it as. Now let's take this back to the lamb. Check on it after about 1.5 minutes, depending on how thick it is. If it's a very thin steak, you want it about 30 seconds to a minute, no more. If it's a thick one like this, 3 to 5 minutes is what you're looking for. Check it, and then if you want the little grill marks, just give it a 3/4 turn. And what I'm going to do is cook this for another 1.5 minutes. This side, turn it over, another 3 minutes, rest it for 5, and then I'll be back to show you how to plate it up. Guys, so this is the final product. I did the lamb about 3 minutes aside, and then I let it rest for 5, and I brushed it with a little bit of garlic oil and some lemon while it was cooking, and then put a little bit more on just while it was resting. So with the assembly, all I've done is put some caramelized onions on top of the pancake, a little bit of sauce, some potatoes, then the lamb, and did a little garnish with the sauce and onions. And there's a few more of the elements there. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Please like, subscribe, and share it, and leave some comments, requests, because I am still looking for requests to do. Anything you want. So please share it, and hope you enjoy this. And as I said, you could serve this as an appetizer, which would be just to cut them into little fingers like little soldiers, and serve that with a little bit of sauce and everything, or get everyone to make it themselves. It's one of those dishes. This is actually a take on a dish called pani puri, which is like a little puri, which is fried chapati done with potatoes and chickpeas. So I thought I'd try and do a little different version of that. So here is my pan-fried lamb leg steak with a spicy roux, roasted potatoes, and caramelized onions.